Out of context, facts and figures can easily mislead. Is Africa's growing population a weakness? What about tomorrow? Don't get boxed in by today's opinions. With the Africa Report, understand Africa's tomorrow today. Politics, business, opinion, the Africa Report decodes the news for you. Available online on theafricareport.com.
Большинство российских миллиардеров читали Forbes еще до того, как стали главными героями его страниц. Роман Троценко, Леонид Богуславский, Михаил Фридман, Алексей Мордашов. Что общего у этих людей? Их объединяет Forbes Club. Forbes Club – это закрытые уникальные встречи российских бизнесменов и топ-менеджеров с членами списков Forbes, учеными, экономистами, писателями, политиками, общественными деятелями и другими лидерами общественного мнения. Став членом закрытого сообщества с картой привилегий Forbes Club, вы сможете высказать свою позицию в журнале Forbes, вести персональную страницу на сайте Forbes, посещать закрытые мероприятия, пользоваться цифровой платформой, посещать персональные встречи с менторами клуба. Клуб успешных людей, объединенных общими ценностями и взглядом на жизнь.
Бизнес – это риски. Выявлять риски и эффективно управлять ими помогают решения интерфакса. Создавая эти сервисы, мы опираемся на наш опыт работы с информацией, знание потребностей клиентов и качественный контент. IT-решения интерфакса преобразуют информацию в знания. Они помогают нашим клиентам вовремя принимать решения, снижать риски и расширять деловые связи. Интерфакс – IT-системы для бизнеса.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and good morning to all of you. So you've just heard from the Renaissance Capital's macroeconomist, Sofia Donets, who presented economic forecasts for the Russian and CIS markets in 2021. What we want to do in this session is we want to drill down into the Russian consumer sector, one that's obviously been greatly affected by the trends and transformations we've seen this year. On the one hand, companies have had to deal with declining disposable incomes and the fallout from continued lockdown measures and restrictions. At the same time, there are companies that have been able to adjust their models, use the pandemic as an accelerator for changes that perhaps were already underway, and as a result have been able to thrive. So with the world going online, e-commerce is booming, and the race is on for companies across the consumer sector to develop online channels. We've seen intensified competition in the battle of ecosystems, and with tightening budgets among consumers, we've also seen the emergence of value consumerism in certain sectors. So with that, let me introduce our great speakers who represent FMCG, property, and the banking sector. Firstly, Ekaterina Sokolova, CFO of M.Video. M.Video is the largest e-commerce player in the Russian consumer electronics universe and ranks among the 10 largest publicly traded retailers in its segment globally. Anton Elistratov, CEO of Samolet Group. Samolet is one of the largest and fastest growing developers in Russia and recently completed a successful IPO on Moscow Exchange, the first non-state-owned company to list in Russia since 2017. Vladimir Salakhutdinov, Director of Strategy from X5 Retail Group. X5 is Russia's largest food retailer, both online and offline, that operates the Petyorichka chain of proximity stores, Perikryostok supermarket chain, and has just opened its first 2 hard discounter format stores in October. And last but very much not least, Andrei Osnos, Managing Director of Sovcombank. Sovcombank is the 3rd largest privately owned bank in Russia, one of the fastest growing banks in the country, and recently joined the list of systemically important financial institutions. So welcome to our speakers and to our audience. With that, let's dive into our discussion. We don't want to spend too much time looking back at COVID. We think we've all got COVID fatigue. We're ready to look forward. But nevertheless, I'd like to come to X5 and M.Video to highlight some of the trends that have emerged this year and to look at those trends which you believe are here to stay and what are you as companies doing to try and capitalize on these trends and opportunities. Vladimir, with your permission, I'll start with you.
Hear me? Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Tom. Well, first of all, I should say that from the trend perspective, it's not there is no something which dramatically changed because of coronavirus, but some trends were really accelerated and some probably slowed down. What's critically important, I think, from this perspective is first of all the changing of consumer behavior and consumer preferences. And the second critical thing is this digital part of our business. With regards to consumers, I think that the critical items that there are some number of new preferences, actually new things appear to be on top. One is definitely safety, which has never been a critical point in retail, but now it's one of the most critical, and retailers, and we spend significant efforts and money, in fact, to make sure that our stores are the safest for our consumers. But on the other hand, what happens, what we see is that more consumers start interesting about health and let's say what kind of food they eat, what kind of products they are, and so on. This was a trend previously, but it significantly accelerated over the last 6 months. With regards to digital, again, this is not something which is new because of COVID, but on the other hand, the digital development was significantly accelerated. And for example, we launched the business for express delivery from our stores just in January this year, and we expected to reach the points of 25,000 orders per day somewhere in 2021. Now we have it now already, and we keep growing very fast. So I think that from this point of view, it's real. So we probably save 1 or 1.5 years in this direction. And obviously, everything what we do in this our digital infrastructure development, it happens faster than we expected previously.
Thank you very much indeed, Vladimir. And you touched on some important points that we're going to be coming back to more in our discussion, particularly the digital channels. Just before I hand over to Ekaterina, I would like to remind our audience that you're welcome to ask questions. You can see the sort of chat box within the system or on the YouTube channel. Put your questions there, and we will try to get to them towards the end of the discussion. Ekaterina, over to you.
Yes, thank you, and good afternoon to everybody. I would like to say that there are actually 3 major trends that we've been experiencing for the recent several years. And I agree with Vladimir that COVID-19 outbreak definitely accelerated some of them. The first one is retail is online or shifting to online, that's for sure. That's the first trend. The second one, online is mobile or moving to a smartphone. And the third one, that actually there are no channels anymore. We were discussing different channels like online, offline, the differentiation between the two. But what we have been experiencing is that the customer journey is absolutely seamless. And you know, our company delivered an extremely good result during the second quarter and the third quarter. During the second quarter, we experienced the growth rate in online more than 100%. And during the third quarter, it was almost 150% growth. The total online sales was at the share of 70% during the second quarter of the total turnover, and third quarter 60% of the total turnover. And we think that all that was possible due to the fact that those trends were part of our strategy and our business model. We call our strategy One Retail, and the key word is one. I mean, there are no channels, there is no online and offline. One Retail is a digital, seamless space for the customers to join and get the best value proposition for them. I want to say that actually stores, and everybody's discussing this offline, do we need stores in the future? Store network is a key success factor of this One Retail space. Why is that? Because stores give us a huge opportunity in terms of stock availability, being close to our customers. And it gives us an opportunity to deliver a value proposition to our customers of 30-minute delivery. I think those are the key major trends.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know many of us are keen consumers of that sort of 30-minute delivery and what you've been working on. Andrei, can I come over to you? Take us into the banking sector. You know, if I look at Sovcombank, actually, I think you grew 50% in the first half of 2020. So something's clearly working well for you there. But if you can, sort of in the context of this and the trends that you've been seeing with customers and consumption habits, what does this mean for the bank in terms of your thinking and of the future?
Well, as a bank, we see the majority of sectors where our consumers work, shop, where they go to the doctors. So effectively, we see tremendous changes in consumer behavior, and we see that many of these changes will stay after the crisis, if it ever ends. So, for example, in work-related, we saw a rise of unemployment, a decline of disposable income. We see that on approvals of our applications, and we see that approvals of applications for loans decline. On the other hand, we see an increase in remote working. For example, you saw probably statistics that participants of video conferencing across the services such as Zoom, WebEx, increased 20 times in only 3 months. In shopping and consumption, we saw, of course, an increase in online deliveries. Some of our clients met 5-year projections in only 8 weeks. Of course, there is a surge of e-commerce. It's unbelievable how quickly consumers and our clients moved online. At the same time, we saw a decline in discretionary spending, in white goods, and shift to value consumption, to essentials. People buy more food. The baskets become larger. They reduce frequency of shopping, and they start using online deliveries more and more, of course. In health and well-being, we saw as well a 10 times increase in 20 days from the beginning of April. People focus on health and hygiene. They buy fitness on demand, online workouts. We saw an increase in e-pharmacy, and on one hand. On the other hand, we saw, of course, decline in gym memberships. So people don't take offline gym memberships anymore. Obviously, we saw the decline in travel and mobility, business and consumer. People don't go that frequently abroad, only for very serious health issues. And you know the situation, Airflot and other big carriers are now, so many planes are on the ground, and these clients of ours, of course, they feel the pain, and we support them as much as we can. Also, we saw an increase in online learning. That shift, of course, is very significant. As you know, many pupils are studying at home, online. Many parents taking online courses for their children. And of course, people having more time for entertainment, and they're replacing offline channels with at-home alternatives such as gym, online gyms and cinemas. We saw a 70% increase in spending on online cinemas, for example. And as a bank, we see all that, and we are trying to help customers adjust to the new environment. And that explains the growth we have in the first half, in 9 months actually, of 2020.
Thank you very much. That's some absolutely fascinating insights and data points from many different parts of the sort of the real economy around us. Anton, I wonder if I can come to you and in a way put a similar question to you in terms of what you're seeing in the development sector and how this is sort of shaping your thoughts in terms of your strategy in the future.
Yes, Tom, thank you very much. It's pretty much similar to what we heard from our colleagues from banking and retail. Samolet is one of the leaders in Russian real estate development, and our business consists of 3 major parts. We create modern, comfortable neighborhoods, we sell them, and then we manage those neighborhoods after people move in and start living. So this COVID thing, it has the biggest impact on the selling part. When we started 2020, nobody was buying apartments or units online. We had an advanced website, but this was not enough. So in February, back in February, we had to fully reinvent the whole sales process because there were too many offline touch points during the customer journey. And so we made many adjustments. We introduced an advanced personal area on website, remote sales management consultations, signing processes with the electronic digital signatures. But the hardest thing was to make it a single smooth customer journey, not like, research online and then purchase offline, but really a purely digital one. So we did a good job, and now we have a very advanced set of tools for that. And our online sales, they account for more than 30% of overall sales. In terms of 2 other parts of our business, the impact of this COVID situation is less significant because the full cycle of our business is very long, as opposed to retail or banking. Time to market sometimes takes from 3 to 5 years to launch a new product and get reliable feedback. So if you ask urbanists or anthropologists, they would say that impact of COVID, and they will tell you a lot of stories that people start switching to more spacious apartments and they start living Moscow for more eco-friendly places. But what happens in reality is that actually it's vice versa. The current demand structure shows that during crisis, people earn less, they become more price sensitive, they move to smaller apartments, and they start moving from regions to Moscow, where they are able to find more, there are more opportunities to find work. So this is the current stance of things in our industry.
That's absolutely brilliant. And once again, congratulations on the recent IPO. I hope you've managed to get some sleep since you closed the deal. Good to see you looking well. Let's look ahead now. There's obviously we have a lot of discussion around ecosystems and battles of ecosystems, and everyone's trying to think about what this means in practice when we think about the future of consumer businesses. And so I'll come to X5, Samolet, and M.Video on this question. If you look at this sort of question from your company and this industry perspectives, how do you see the future competition between ecosystems, and will we see the creation of new digital ecosystems beyond the established ones today? Vladimir, perhaps I can start with you.
Thank you, Tom. I'm not sure we can use the word established ecosystems today. I think that's the model is still very much in the beginning. There are different models on that. But what I can say, well, there are first of all, the e-commerce is something which where scale is a key success factor. So, and the open platforms is something we can give you scale fast. So from this perspective, if we speak about X5, so we definitely see ourselves as a platforms, and we launched the aggregator for express delivery, which we call Okola. We just announced it last week, and this is a platform where we can deliver from many other players, not only from X5 stores, for example. So, and which actually give the same we do with our online hypermarket, which used to call Перекресток Online. Now we rebranded into the name Prok, which means stock up in Russian, and that becomes the FMCG marketplace again, because we offer all the partners to put their goods on our shelves, and we're going to sell it through our logistics and digital sales channels. So when you speak about ecosystem model, again, there are different ways how you can think about that. The one way is to satisfy different needs. You just say, okay, what we can do, like house, security, tourism, medical, banking, so on. So it's one model, and it's not necessarily the one which most of the company go into. But there is another approach, which is much closer to X5 philosophy. So we say that we are specialists in food. But what means food for us? Food is not only going to the store. Because when you come to the store, you already know most likely what you're going to buy. In fact, more than 60% of our customers are aware what they're going to buy in the store, which means that they made their decisions before. And these decisions can be made with the help of many different sources, like some media channels, information, price comparison resources, aggregators, and so on and so forth. And for us, meaning being in the food, it means that we should cover the whole customer journey, which normally start from the step number one, which is a selection. Not actually, it's not even selection, it's a planning. When the people plan what they're going to buy. Then there is a selection when they choose where to buy it. Then there is actual purchase, which can be online or offline. And then there are some adjacent services like payments, which are associated with every deal, and so on. So this all we can cover under the umbrella of one company. So, and you can call it ecosystem around food, but in fact, that's a matter of definitions. And from this perspective, yes, I'm sure that the big players, and X5 is not an exception, will really start thinking in this direction, covering the whole customer journey in the area of their specialization, and to build the infrastructure or ecosystem around this customer journey. So that's a way that should work.
Thank you very much, Vladimir. Ekaterina, can I come to you to elaborate on this topic from your perspective?
Yes, thank you, Tom. Well, there are actually two aspects for our company. The first one, I agree with Vladimir that when we're talking about ecosystem, it's about satisfying different needs. And the beauty of our category, consumer electronics category, is that the category in itself helps to satisfy, I would say, most of the needs of people. It's consumer electronic goods are about home, entertainment, beauty, sports, food, everything. When we're talking about different needs, you need consumer electronics category. And that's why we kind of, in itself, in the category, we are in this 360 degree satisfaction of all different needs. But the way we do things, the way we sell consumer electronics, we changed the approach 4 years ago. And we organized ourselves not like in a traditional way when we're selling large home appliances and small home appliances or white goods or brown goods. We arranged ourselves in eco units. So we're not simply selling goods, we are selling solutions. So one of the eco units is called kitchen. It means that we are selling different associated goods related to people having healthy and cooking healthy food in the kitchen. We have eco unit which is called home office. We have eco unit which is called everything related to home, which means that the people are not simply buying a washing machine, they're looking for having clean and nice clothes at the end. And this is about, selling associated goods for them to have comfort at home, and also services like we have eco unit called Cinema and Sound, where we sell different types of subscriptions, and people, they do not only buy TV, but they're buying subscriptions and different types of installations and sound bars. So this concept of eco units is part of the way we are organized. The second one is not only what you buy, but how you buy, how consumers buy. And when I started talking about One Retail, this is about how. The customers are looking for digital experience. They want to buy everything through smartphone. They definitely want to buy it online, but also they want to be happy, you know, through different touch points. We have different touch points with our customers. They buy products through mobile app. They use our store infrastructure to get additional advice from our salespeople. We use sales device of our salespeople so that in the store, the customers have access to endless shelf opportunities and personalized pricing. So we contact the customers at absolutely a variety of touch points, and we call that One Retail. The idea is that we need to deliver digital, endless shelf, high level of service and availability of products, you know, good levels of delivery, no matter where we are contacting the customer. And this One Retail platform that we're currently developing and delivering and executing is pretty much scalable and can be scalable for other categories. And we are thinking of some scalability opportunities, not only for consumer electronics, but for other categories as well.
Sounds very exciting, and there's a lot that I'd love to kind of dive into in more detail there. But Anton, can I come to you for your perspective from the sort of the development world? How do you see this?
Yeah, about ecosystems and competition with technological companies. So in our main business, development of the affordable housing, the market is very favorable. The demand is high, the supply is shrinking. Entry barriers are very high, and we do not expect any new players entering the market. No new competition is expected from technological companies or the banks or, you know, retailers. But Samolet is not only a development company. As I told you, we're providing services and maintenance to the project that we create. And as opposed to developers that focus on small projects, in our projects, it's not about profit, it's also about the quality of life that we create. Because if the customers come and they are not satisfied with the quality of the services, commercial products and services, social infrastructure, that means that they will be disappointed and PS will go down, and that will make it more difficult for us to sell further stages of the same project. That's what is special about our business. So by the end of 2022, we will be servicing almost 500,000 of customers through different multifunctional digital platforms like M.Video. It's a Russian equivalent of Nextdoor social network. It's a combination of marketplaces, servicing applications for customers, facility management, utility payments, and etc. So our goal is to become the prop tech leader in the Russian Federation. This is the main focus. And as of today, more than 25% of our employees are IT professionals or people who work in digital modeling. And in this way, we definitely compete with other technological companies, banks, and retailers. And potentially this could become a fierce battle, because in the long-term perspective, our business model may change dramatically. The developers will transform into digital ecosystems, and they will be like, you know, dishing out the apartments for free, just in order to be able to service and get customers as lifelong revenue generating partners as they spend money where they live. And we have our aces in this battle. Thanks to property management business, we have a very strong last mile, last touch with our customer, and don't underestimate the loyalty of our clients, because since they trust us with the biggest decision in their lives, with the biggest purchase in their lives, if we don't fail them, they stay with us. So let's see how this competition goes. We're definitely ready for it.
Wish you good luck in the competition. I was struck by the number 25% of your people being from the tech world. It's kind of it's an interesting data point and gives us a bit of an illustration of how things are evolving here. Before we move on to our next topic, I'd like to come back to X5 and M.Video to talk a little bit about the theme of sort of integrating fintech into retail and tech into retail. You touched on this already in some of your intro remarks, but I wonder if you can elaborate in terms of the importance of leveraging tech and cooperation, say, with fintech projects, companies, for the development of your retail businesses. And Vladimir, perhaps I can start with you.
Thank you, Tom. Well, I would say it's either question you're only fintech or in general in like technology startups, because what I should say that for us it's one of the most interesting and critical way of doing business, because what we do, we try to monitor all over the world, not only in Russia, in a number of countries, to monitor all prospective technologies, which can be either fintech or retail or data science and so on, and incorporate it in our business. By the way, we do it together with M.Video now with this Retail Alliance. And as regards to fintech specifically, I would say that the payment itself this is something which is always exists in every purchase, in every type of transaction, and that's why this process should be like a maximum seamless and friendly to consumer. As I mentioned, the payment is a part of the customer journey, and for us strategically, it's important to provide this kind of opportunity to our customers, not just within the X5 infrastructure and not by the competing or outsourced provider. So this is something we work on, and definitely some solutions, some innovative solutions can be applicable in this.
Thank you very much indeed. Ekaterina, can I come to you?
Yes, definitely. We are the company that is looking for innovation and technology, and that is one of the, I would say, most important parts of our developments, because we're very much, I would say, dependent on how quick we can adapt to different technologies in order to be able to improve customer journey. I think a lot of discussions are about big data and about customer data. That's extremely important. We need to know as much as possible about the history of purchases of the customers, about the specific needs of the customers, about their preferences, so that at the end of the day, our ultimate goal is to make sure that our customer is happy. And happy from all the points of value proposition. It's assortment, pricing, presence, delivery, service, all of it. And of course, we spend a lot of time on that area. We always look and criticize ourselves in terms of the quality of the customer journey, and we improve that a lot. One of the examples is that we introduced a special marketplace in online and in our stores, where the customer can approach through a special technological platform the opportunities from the banks in terms of the credit offering. So like many years ago, in a traditional way, in traditional retail store, the customers had to approach the representatives of every bank and talk through a credit offering with every bank representative. I mean, that's an old school concept. Currently, we have a special platform that actually connects the customer with 13 banks. And 13 banks, just within 15 minutes, give an offer to the customer, and the customer chooses. And that happens within, 15, 30 minutes. The application process is very simple. And I would say almost 18% of the total turnover of our customers are using credit offering. So that's one of the drivers of the growth of revenue. And it's important that we need to make sure that the customer journey is very good. So we are looking for different opportunities, and that's very important.
Fantastic. And I'd like to sort of continue our kind of exploring of the state of the consumer from different angles. And I think there is a reality, despite many of the opportunities that have opened up, but nevertheless, budgets are tight. The consumer sort of spending power is perhaps under pressure in a number of segments. And so I'd like to look at that theme in terms of what this is meaning for the different businesses that are presented here today. And Andrei, perhaps I can come to you. You have an extremely successful payment installment card in Halva. I know in the summer you acquired your next biggest competitor, Sovis. And I wonder if you can talk us through sort of the rationale behind the acquisition and the timing, and sort of more generally what that means for your strategy for Halva and payments installments in the future.
First of all, on the ecosystem, our colleagues mentioned here that it's quite an abused word nowadays, similar to nanotechnology and artificial intelligence. Now everything is becoming an ecosystem. In banking sector, it's basically a pile of services a bank managed to buy, and now that bank drags a customer to buy this, makes the customer buy these services. So we are partners of M.Video and X5 and Samolet, actually. So we're one of the organizers of the successful IPO. Congratulations on that. And so what we are doing, we are helping clients shop in a smart way. So we are helping them with coupons and with various promotions. We highlight where they can buy goods with discount, and all of that with our installment card with 0 interest rates. For example, if they go to M.Video, they don't need to wait for an application for a response from 15 banks for their loan application. They can buy goods in M.Video interest-free, just swiping Halva card in your shop. I heard that actually we had even an idea to sell apartments of Samolet built by Samolet on installments as well, interest-free installments. So that's our goal. And actually, we, on one hand, we are helping our clients to buy, to shop smartly, to buy goods in an easy and in a smart way, with effectively interest-free loans. On the other hand, we are helping our shops, our partners, to drag customers into their shops online and offline, and we feel that especially now it's quite important to increase customer footprint traffic in your online and offline shops, and that's why it's quite important to have both a large number of shops, partners, and a large number of clients which we could connect, basically sitting in the middle, helping our clients to buy goods and helping our partners to sell goods. So that's why we acquired Halva. Halva card acquired Sovis, the largest competitor on the market to date, and we increased our market position in this way. So now we can offer our clients, our customers, 200,000 shops where they can buy goods on installments without interest. And we can offer our partners, our M.Video, X5, 1 million more clients. So this basically, so we see our role as an intermediary between shops and clients, and we feel that this is going to be a very successful story on the market. So because installment card program is in favor of both shops and clients, so it works in both ways actually.
Fantastic, great insights, and some of the numbers you give just kind of underscore just this enormous scale of the market, the Russian consumer market, that I think that some people who are not in this country sometimes maybe sometimes don't fully appreciate. So an interesting reminder there. Now, I wonder if we can look at this sort of theme of value consumerism that has sort of started to evolve, you know, a sort of shift towards customers looking for more value, efficiency, maybe speed of delivery, perhaps as opposed to what they might previously have prioritized with traditional aesthetic considerations or status and so on. And so what does this mean in terms of how you think about sort of customer propositions and think about your businesses, and how do you really position yourselves to maximize your relevance in this sort of changing consumer market? Vladimir, perhaps I can start with you.
Yes, no, of course. Well, first of all, I think that's the message that the whole market shift into the low price segment is probably not necessarily correct. Obviously, there is an economic impact, and definitely there will some shift and switch. But I would rather say that now consumers became more diligent in terms of value for money consumption, or smart consumption, as we call, which means that in every segment, people start thinking more about what they actually buy for this money, was it really worth it? And what's important, that's when we do different researches on our consumer preferences, we see that price remains a significant part of their choice. It's probably most significant. Yeah, well, half of the consumer says that that's critical. On the other hand, one sort of the consumer today say that for them it's critical to actually that they eat the healthy food, meaning that it's not poisoning and it's not something which can have a negative impact for their health. So they really care about it and they're ready to pay more for the healthy food. Also, as I mentioned, well, significant part of the consumer, actually most of the consumer cares about atmosphere in service. So it's for most of our customers, it's not. It does actually mean that the only price and product critical for them. They also think about atmosphere, the service, the perception of the store, many other things. So from this perspective, I would say there's not much changes, but probably that's all these items just became more critical for us. And from well, that's why what we do is basically changing our composition of formats. As you mentioned at the beginning, just recently we launched a new format, Chizhik, which is a hard discounter, which is with a really kind of low price level compared to the average, to the market. And that doesn't mean that this is a store for people who actually, let's say, doesn't have money. I would say that's exactly what the smart consumption, when people want to get the best value for money over there. At the same time, we remain with our Peterочka store, which is the main proximity segment, which actually serves most of the population of Russia today, and the Перекресток, which is, it doesn't say premium, but it's probably a little more upscale, and that's targets another segment. But there we again do a lot of changes and transformation to make sure that we offer the best value for money product in this segment. So that's key priority for us from the point of consumer preferences.
Thank you very much. And Anton, what does value consumerism look like in your industry?
You know, Tom, I'm a bit puzzled because last time I spoke, I told you that we do not expect any competition from banks or retailers coming in our main business. But having heard Andrei, I have certain doubts about that. I see that technological and dynamic banks are moving in this way, so we need to take this seriously. But jokes apart, when we talk about affordable housing, our customer is a young family with household monthly disposable income of around $1,500 and they're looking to buy their first apartment. Not because they want to invest, but because they have their basic need, because they get married, have children, get divorced, and etc. So generally, there are three types of products for such families. They can buy something in the center of the city, an apartment in a satellite urban area, or some buy-build private standalone house, most probably in a quiet place distant from city area. Samolet has always been about efficiency for the customers. We as Samolet, have always had a very clear focus and consistent strategy. We focus on large-scale projects, we build new cities, and now there is momentum for such strategy. Customers are becoming even more pragmatic. Their income is not growing, so the market demand is more and more concentrating around the second option, apartment in a satellite urban area, like never before. Because people get more square meters for the same price, because they live in a brand new buildings, modern, with urban spaces balanced, with social, commercial, and business infrastructure, because such areas and neighborhoods, they have comfortable shared spaces like play hubs, parks, and better ecology. So people definitely get extra value for their money. And so this was our choice from the very beginning, and this was the right strategic choice, and we don't need to make any adjustments now, because it works perfectly for the market situation that is in place.
Thank you very much. Now, before we sort of wrap up and start look into the future, let me come to you, Ekaterina, to offer a comment on this issue.
Yes, thank you. Well, actually, I think that we see some kind of change in trends in terms of customers being more demanding. I think in our sector, in our segment, the purchase is pretty expensive. I mean, our average check is more than 10,000 rubles, when the average income is around 30,000 rubles. So when the customers come to us, they actually expect that we give not only kind of high level of service, but the price is absolutely transparent. They have the opportunity to look through all different types of endless shelf opportunities and you know, get the proposition should be at a very high level of service, and the delivery is important, because it's not like you can leave something at the front door. The fridge or washing machine needs to be installed, and the customer needs to make sure that it's working and he can use it right away. So when we're talking about the price in terms of value proposition, the pricing is very much transparent, because the consumer electronics category is in e-commerce segment for many years already. So what we are thinking about personalized pricing. And that's where we are moving. It's all about giving a personalized price. When we're talking about assortment, of course, it's all a kind of endless shelf opportunities. It's either through your own categories that you have in online or in the store, or through a marketplace opportunity, through vendor catalog, and that's what we have. And in terms of availability of stock close to the customer, I mentioned before that we have store network that gives us an opportunity to have stock available close to the customer, and we are delivering it really quick. 90% of our stock is delivered at the same day, and that cannot be easily copied, because we've invested into this back-end infrastructure, into the store base for years already. So that's what we're thinking about that.
Fantastic. We have just under 10 minutes left. And so with that, I'm going to ask all of our speakers to take out their crystal balls, because I'm going to ask you about the future. Look a few years out, 3 to 5 years out. What do you see as maybe the two biggest, most important future trends or opportunities for your company and or your sector? And I'll start with Vladimir.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, well, first of all, I think that the next period will be a time of changes of the business model because of the technology development. As I mentioned, there is the concept of the market in retail is changing. For example, most of the retailers in the past several years, they speak about omni-channel models. Which is in fact something which is probably no longer gives all the answers. Omnichannel is still a part of the equation, but not everything. Because as I mentioned, sometimes the customer coming to our offline store, his deal can be inspired by some online resources and so on. And from this perspective, which means that we need to look overall to the whole customer journey from very different angle, and to build technology, build digital resources around this journey. This is in fact new business model which changed significantly the market and actually changed the players. Well, another thing is the efficiency, because the digitalization of each industry provides certain challenges, because entrance barriers becomes lower and the competition higher and pressure on the margin stronger, which means that you cannot play in this new environment, new economy with the old processes and old type of the organization, which means that everything requires significant redesign and what we call internal digital transformation to improve efficiency significantly. Without this, it's actually not possible to compete and to survive in this new digital environment. So from this perspective, I believe that that's the race for the efficiency and the changing of internal processes inside the companies would be one of the critical priorities in the next 2-3 years.
Fantastic, thank you. I'll come to Andrei next. So Andrei, the top themes and opportunities that you see for the Sovcombank banking industry in the coming years?
Well, first of all, unlike many other areas, banks are the second oldest profession on earth. So I can tell you for sure that in 5 years, banks will be banks. So there are going to be changes, and of course, in customer behavior, it's going to be different acquisition channels. We strongly feel that our Halva card is going to take ground, and it's going to be a credit card killer in this country. That's for sure.
Fantastic, thank you. Anton, I'll come to you.
Yeah, same here. In the long run, our market is very fundamental and resistant to changes. People need a place to live, and no one came with the idea how to disrupt that. So in our market, there are two key trends, one being consolidation of the industry, the second one being the increasing role of the regulator. If we go to the first one, the market was very fragmented, but in 2018, there were, for example, like 500 players only in the Moscow metropolitan area at that time, only. The government changed the industry, they changed the legislation, and they effectively pushed out all the small, unstable, incompetent, non-systematic players out of the market. So the low quality supply started to shrink, industry started to consolidate. And my expectation that within the next 5 years, top 10 players will hold from 60 to 70% of the market. That means that they will need to annually commission more than 50 million square meters. And this is very ambitious. And secondly, as discussed, Russia is a country with the great deficit of living space per capita and very moderate income per household. So very little incentive to invent something new here. So the government will continue to play the main role in shaping the market. We think the government will push for renovation all over the country. They will be supporting individual housing construction. Probably they will introduce new incentives for leading players like us to come to regional markets with their scale and expertise. And they will be doing so not because they like Samolet or want us to become a blue chip on the Russian market, but because they need to cover shortage in living space that exists, and because every ruble that goes into our industry multiplies by 10, 15, or 20 in our GDP, because every industry is involved in development cycles, steel makers, materials, services, banks, retail. So our industry may well become the moving force of the economy for the next 3 to 5 years.
Interesting stuff. And with that, Ekaterina, we'll give you the last word.
Yes, I think there are two aspects. Actually, the first one is about our excitement around home office agenda. I mean, we all experiencing that people are moving to homes and work from home, and we're having this conference sitting at home or in our offices, and we definitely see an increased demand for home appliances and for home office items that we use for education, for work, and we think that this trend will continue. It will also be somehow supported by different innovative trends like smart home, connected devices, and all this type of new things and new categories where we're also searching and we're looking at. That's the first thing. And the second one is one retail platform. We need to do the right things, but in a right way to make sure that our customers are getting the proper experience and are experiencing the proper customer journey. And this one retail model that I was talking about, we see a great opportunity in terms of the scalability for other categories. And we are launching Marketplace this year. We announced that, and we think that this proper one retail model and technological platform can be used for other categories as well.
thank you very much, Ekaterina, and to all of our speakers. I mean, I feel like we've had a real kind of 360 view of the Russian consumer, of what's going on. It's not a monolith. There are a number of different themes, a number of different trends that have been highlighted by all of our speakers. So I'd like to thank all of you, Ekaterina, Anton, Andrei, Vladimir. Your companies have been incredibly successful this year, and I know they will continue to be successful in the years to come. And I'll also once again thank our hosts, Renaissance Capital. Congratulations on their 25-year anniversary event. I hope we've done you justice in this session. But with that, thanks to our viewers and thanks to all of us. We'll sign off here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Out of context, facts and figures can easily mislead. Is Africa's growing population a weakness? What about tomorrow? Don't get boxed in by today's opinions. With the Africa Report, understand Africa's tomorrow today. Politics, business, opinion, the Africa Report decodes the news for you. Available online on theafricareport.com.
Большинство российских миллиардеров читали Forbes еще до того, как стали главными героями его страниц. Роман Троценко, Леонид Богуславский, Михаил Фридман, Алексей Мордашов. Что общего у этих людей? Их объединяет Forbes Club. Forbes Club – это закрытые уникальные встречи российских бизнесменов и топ-менеджеров с членами списков Forbes, учеными, экономистами, писателями, политиками, общественными деятелями и другими лидерами общественного мнения. Став членом закрытого сообщества с картой привилегий Forbes Club, вы сможете высказать свою позицию в журнале Forbes, вести персональную страницу на сайте Forbes, посещать закрытые мероприятия, пользоваться цифровой платформой, посещать персональные встречи с менторами клуба. Клуб успешных людей, объединенных общими ценностями и взглядом на жизнь.
Бизнес – это риски. Выявлять риски и эффективно управлять ими помогают решения интерфакса. Создавая эти сервисы, мы опираемся на наш опыт работы с информацией, знание потребностей клиентов и качественный контент. IT-решения интерфакса преобразуют информацию в знания. Они помогают нашим клиентам вовремя принимать решения, снижать риски и расширять деловые связи. Интерфакс – IT-системы для бизнеса.